What's happening? Andy here. I'm joined by Jim Morrissey, president of UBEO. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. I'm in sunny Rochester. Our leaves are still turned. It's still not winter yet. Beautiful time of year. Where are you today? I know you're not in your headquarters. Where are you?
I'm actually in Connecticut today. We've got a beautiful day and beautiful leaves turning as well.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad you were able to get out of Texas and enjoy our great northeastern weather while it's still nice. You probably don't want to be here in a couple more months. We haven't talked in a bit. Let's catch up. Tell me what's happening. What's going on with UBEO, and then we'll get into a couple of different topics. I had some questions I wanted to ask you about.
Sure, sure. UBO is doing great. We're going to have another growth year. We haven't really changed our strategy. We're trying to address the higher end of the market where we're providing services and excellent technology advice and services to companies. And we're just plugging away, growing and having a good time.
Let's talk about that. A lot of doom and gloom in our industry. We all realize that, this is print is overall in a bit of a decline and it's, going to always probably be in a decline for the foreseeable future. That does not mean that companies like you aren't growing, and you kind of hinted on that. How is your print volume?
Our print volumes are actually up significantly, and two reasons for it, I believe. One is clearly production. That you can have a slight decline in your fleet line, and you can sell one production machine and it makes up tenfold to what you lost in the fleet. So we've been highly focused to production. We feel we're specialists in it. We don't just go to market with a price because that's a losing game in production. Customers demand a high level of service, and the key to it is the applications you provide with specialists and analysts, not just the sales representative, but with the analyst. And if you go to market with anything other than that, you're fighting it out with and it's really a fool's errand at the
A
end of the
race to the
day,
bottom.
because just you don't get any money for it. It's pointless. But we've been able to convince customers, because they've been burned a couple of times now too. So they know that the service does matter in the production environment. The graphics do matter. I mean, graphics is still growing. And we're seeing customers that are willing to pay for what we do, which is we're experts in production on the technical side as well as the service side. So
We've
we're
been
going to
offering
continue to
production for
drive that.
years. You guys are, this is not something you just got into, right? I mean, this is something
Now,
that's your heritage. Um, do all of your locations have a production aspect? How many locations do you have?
we have over 50 locations, but it's interesting that you say that, because UBO is very unique in that we have kept the relationship with the customer and the local and operation by having P&Ls in every single branch, marketplace, and region. So the leader in those locations, they own the P&L to make decisions for the customer. At the same time, we're very focused on having a strategy that is consistent throughout our company. So it's not an option in a location whether you want to sell production or you don't want to sell production. You're going to sell production, and you're going to have an analyst, and you're going to drive the value proposition, which is another thing that I think has happened and transformed the industry, is that it was very common for a customer to have HP printers from a printer dealer, fleet from a copier dealer, wide format from a wide format dealer, and production from Xerox. It was very common. That gives four ways for a hacker to get into your network. And when you talk to a CIO, they don't want to deal with four companies anymore. They want to deal with one. And there's very few companies that can provide that level of end-to-end service. And it's another way we're winning in the marketplace. And it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of resources and a lot of investment. But if you do it right, it's a significant return. And I mean, at this point, it's all about market share. If you're not grabbing market share, you're declining. And that's why our clicks are up, because we've been able to get net new business and we've been able to capture production. I mean, we've grown our production over the last 5 years, double-digit growth,
Ooh, nice.
sometimes higher in production year over year. And we continue to break records in that market because, like I said, customers have been burned. So it's been fun.
So
Been fun.
who are your major partners in production, and how have they helped you with the growth that you guys have experienced? Because you're in that elite group we call a mega dealer. And you all have different ways of doing things, different brands that you carry. Tell me about your partners and what the experience has been like, and how have they helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah, it's a great question. Xerox, regardless of what they're doing today or what people think of the company, the brand is still significant in the production arena. And when you mention that you're selling Xerox in the customer, they pay attention. Still, to this day, they have a brand recognition with production environment customers, which we sell production. We were one of the first to take on the production line when they started to go to dealers. And we've been very, very successful with it. Canon and Ricoh have rival and in some cases better production machines than Xerox. But we're able to provide an agnostic approach to a production environment. And we could literally put a Xerox in with an Iridesc where that's, they're only going to get what they get from an Iridesc. And then we put in a black and white with another manufacturer, and we're able to service all of it. And that's a big play for customers as well, because we're not trying to sell one product and putting a square peg in a round hole. We're trying to right size the customer to the equipment that they need. So we've got a couple of brands in some cases where they're side by side, and we've cross-trained our high-end guys and women to service those products. So
We were just at a production summit. My son Jake covered it I think it was last week here for Xerox in town. Probably had some of your guys here, or maybe not your guys, but similar to your guys, right? I mean, it might have been your guys. They do this a couple of times a year, and they bring them in and give them the overview on just all the different things that some of these products will do that they may not be aware of. If you're selling it because you're selling it for one aspect or one capability, there's just so much bandwidth available for these machines that goes unused. And a lot of the talk track, I think, is how do you fill that? How do you fill up that extra, whether you even teach your customers how to resell their volume that they could be compensating themselves with, or just printing stuff that they used to have to send out. But this is where you learn it, right? You come to the manufacturer's facilities. I'm sure Canon runs very similar things. I'm sure Ricoh does as well. I know Ricoh does. I've been to their facility out in Boulder as well. So three great brands, three great production brands, very well respected production brands. How do you
yeah,
balance? How do you balance that with all three?
Yeah, the other thing that we've done is, all of what's old is new and vice versa. But I find, I'm a hound around technology. I love leveraging technology and making sure that we're utilizing the best tools available. At the same time, all of the old sales strategies work. And if you can apply tech to the old strategies, as an example, we do production shows, and it's not an option for the locations to do them. We're going to do technology shows specifically highlighting production every year in every location. They just get to pick the month and the day, and then we have a very organized, scheduled agenda to bring in production customers. And when they go into our showrooms, the investments we've made in the showrooms, which is another thing that's passe, which I think is Looney Tune, is when the customers come in, they bring their files, they see the three pieces of equipment in one, room, and they go, wow, you've made a big investment in production. Yes, we have. And try to go see this anywhere else and you won't find it. So it's been a really big hit with customers. It's our pipeline of production goes straight up when we do shows, and we're going to continue to do them, make them better and better and better. And I think it's exciting for the reps too, because it's old-fashioned selling. At the same time, we put a lot of marketing and a lot of effort into getting customers into that showroom, which everybody knows the closing ratio when you do that is much higher than when you don't.
Sure, it is way higher, especially if you have a nice facility. But when and I'm saying sure it is because I'm an A3 rep, but like I have to imagine when you get into that production level, the value to the customer being able to run their own files, see that device, lay their hands on it, when the other rep at the competitor may be saying, we'll bring you your device when you buy it. Maybe we'll fly you out to New Jersey or Irvine or wherever it might be that they want to see it. But, being able to bring customers into your facilities, how many of these showrooms do you have? You said are they regional? How many of the big showrooms do you have?
We have probably 80% of
Wow.
all of our locations have production equipment in the showrooms.
So that's a tremendous investment. The out-of-box cost to you guys must be astronomical.
That gets brought up to me all the time by the CFO.
I was going to ask you, how does that conversation go? Because the
Right.
out-of-box is it's tough, right? But I mean, look,
Hey,
you got to spend money to make money. I guess that expression,
look,
is apt.
I'm old school, and whenever I would have somebody tell me that that's money sitting there wasted, I would say the problem is not the machine sitting in the showroom, it's the sales rep's inability to bring customers in to view it. So we're fixing that problem and not worrying about how much money we're spending showing the equipment. But again, this is the reason why dealers have gone in and out of production, because it is very costly. Very costly. Like
It
you
is.
just pointed out a very obvious thing. Like, how do I keep all this gear on my floor? And you can't just rip out a production machine every 30 days. I mean, you can't do that. So we've come up with ways to make sure that we're appropriately managing it from a dollar standpoint. And I think it's fundamental in being successful in production. So we're going to keep doing it until our numbers start going down.
I love it. I think it's got to make it much easier for your people when it comes to selling that device. And especially the credibility it adds to you when a customer comes in and sees not just the one they're looking at, but all the other stuff on your floors. And then when you've got multiple locations that you're talking about, it's a big flex. It's a big flex that shows, this is who we are. We're not the other company you're looking at that may unbox this if you buy it.
Right, right. So it's been very successful, and we're going to keep doing it until it's not, like I said.
Do you have any gauge, any feeling for how many people came through your those programs last year or this year, maybe? The production. How many people in a good year do you think you get coming through those programs?
Yeah, well, we're averaging the shows between 60 and 100 customers.
Wow.
Not it's more than that for people, because obviously some customers bring 2 and 3 people, but it's between 60 and 100 per show.
How are you getting them there? Is it just these guys are so rabid into, production? Is there you guys have Super Tramp playing, you have great pretzels. What is it? What's the draw?
Yeah, and all of those things apply, and we leave that creativity up to the markets, depending on the size of the market. And we obviously encourage all of that creativity, because when the reps get engaged, they get excited, they feel compelled to go out and bring customers. The first year we did it, we had lackluster results. When we told them we're doing it again, we had better results. When we told them we're going to do it again, we had the greatest results, because then they saw what we were investing in and what we were putting into it. But it's everywhere from guest speakers to food to, we do a lot of food trucks and things like that. If there's a popular food truck, We contracted for the 2 or 3 days. So we've done a lot of really creative things, but this year in 25, we're going to take it to the next level, and really put some thought into what exactly are customers looking for. And we're looking to get it in the hundreds on every show rather than just that. But we also have a demand gen team. We've actually got almost 30 people in it now, where they make phone calls to very targeted accounts. And, you know, we go after the UCC list with reckless abandon. So that's another way that we're
I
able
haven't
to.
heard that in a while. You know, I remember going through the UCC filings, and it's still how they do it, huh?
Well, it's never
Big ticket items.
it's never a warm lead. It's a cold call. It's something to let you know that at some point they did buy a production machine.
Yeah,
So
they're a
probably
potential customer. It's a
buy
great way to
another
do it.
one, you know?
That's a great way to do it. So you mentioned earlier, I think it was before we even came on, you're you know, again, back to your growth, right? You're expanding, you're adding people. Tell me about where are you adding these people? What types of people are you looking for?
Yeah, so it's 3 regions, you know, East, Central, and West, and we're adding 60 reps by the end of this year,
Whoa.
and 20 in each region. And the reason why we're doing that is we feel that there's a tremendous opportunity to hire experienced salespeople that either the companies decided that they had too many, or they're just not happy with what's happening at the companies that they're at. I mean, a lot of them are having significant struggles, whether it's they've cut so far back that they can't provide service for their customers. Billing issues is still a major problem in the industry. And, we just think we provide a serious opportunity for those that are excited about the industry and want to come to a company that appreciates their efforts. And so we're doing a massive hiring till the end of this year, and then we're going to go after it again next year. I'm going to do the same thing with the leadership team and their 25 budgets. Once we get through the 60 for this year, we're going to go after it again next year, because I just think there's a tremendous opportunity right now to grab net new accounts.
Well, there's a
More
lot going on out there too, right? I mean, we've seen the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of pretty significant CEOs say that their people are coming back to work. They're not going to put up with this, you know, hybrid model that we've been dealing with for the last 4 or 5 years. So we should start seeing demand pick up. We should start seeing, you know, print pick up a little bit. Customers are going to change their buying patterns as people come back to the office, whether they come back one more day a week or all 5 of them. I mean, this is an issue we've been faced with all over the country. I'm sure you guys have seen it in all your markets. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is this something you see happening? Is this something you've been preparing for, or you know, do your people work from home? How do you handle it?
Yeah, we have been a back to work company even through the pandemic in many locations. I mean, in Texas, it was safety first, but many times people were back. California and the East Coast, not as much, but still a lot of people went into the office. But we're back to the office, other than in select positions that don't really need to work from the office, and they cover large geographies,
Yeah.
like a leasing specialist or somebody who covers so many markets. But as far as the office is concerned, one of the things that we did see was that when people were working on a schedule of, say, Mondays and Fridays, they work from home, we saw copy volumes go up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they would save their copies. And then when they went into 3 days, they were hitting the copy machines, and then they would tail off on Fridays. Now we're seeing a much more even distribution of copies, and they're still going up. It's not a hockey stick, but it's a gradual return to the office, and people continue to drive them. And I think we're very laser focused to the geography too. I mean, if you're in a major city, it's not coming back as fast still. But if you're in rural areas, they never went away.
Yeah.
So, we're really concentrating on where we see the business coming back and growing. We bought Commonwealth in Washington because we think that's a tremendous market. It fit right in between Centric. Literally, it was like a perfect brick right in the middle of where Centric coverage was and Philly. So we're very, very strategic about where we're going and what we're doing and with acquisitions. And we haven't stopped acquiring either. I mean, it's just, I think there's growth. We don't want to be the biggest. We want to be the best. I think there's growth with sales representatives. And I believe strongly that there's many, many dealers out there that they're just at a retirement age and they don't want to invest in all the things that you and I have been talking about for the last 15, 20 minutes. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's a heavy lift to put out all the money that you have to break into some of these technologies. And so I just think there's plenty of opportunity for a company like ours where we are willing to invest and we are willing to focus on these certain things.
Well, to your point, you're investing like crazy. Just the conversation we had about your production program alone is a massive investment, and the results are clear, right? You're hiring 60 new people this year. You're going to hire 60 more salespeople, not just new people, salespeople. You're going to do the same next year. You're expanding in all these areas. So, again, for a market that's supposed to be going backwards, you guys are doing real well. It's great to see. You're an example, to a lot of companies out there that I think would love to be where you guys are, and maybe someday they'll get there. But congratulations to the success you guys are having, and to another good year.
Yeah, very much appreciate the conversation.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. This has been awesome. I love catching up with you. I will be waiting for an invitation to one of those events next year. Jake and I would love to come down to any of them, whether it's, the one you're at right now, your location, we could drive to that, or we'll come down to Texas for some barbecue. But we love to see one of these big production shows. We're nerds. We love print. What can I tell you?
Well, we would love to host you at our flagship in Austin. And Austin's always fun to come to, especially over the next several months. So we'll make sure that happens.
We'll talk offline. We'll get that set up. Thank you so much, Jim. This has been a pleasure. Great seeing you.
Perfect. Thank you.